Hello and welcome to the White Rabbit YouTube channel. Today we are here to discuss the previous episode, the Falcon Lake incident, as well as talk about different UFO stories from around the world, and I have prepared quite a list for today. To start things off, I want to tell you about the night of the UFOs, which happened in Brazil in 1986, May 19th. This is a pretty crazy story. Uh, Brazil is known to be a hotbed of UFO activity since, since forever, I guess, since Peru was like Lake Titicaca and all the ancient, uh, this like there's monoliths and pyramids and giants and aliens and portals, all kinds of things. And here are inner earth tunnels and radiation and UFOs. And this is more Brazil here. It happened around here anyway. All right. So it happened in the Billings Reservoir. Oh, no, sorry. The night of the UFOs, 1986, was like across 4 different states of Brazil. And there were hundreds and hundreds of UFOs reported by all kinds of people with superior rank, like generals and captains and the police, plus a lot of civilians as well. The thing with Brazil is that they don't keep the secret about the UFOs. It's all public knowledge. The military discloses what they find and in the newspaper, and everything is out in the open because they don't know what's going on and they just want to show that everybody that like this is not our secret program. We're just monitoring the situation. So on this night on May 19th, 1986, I think there were like more than 300 UFOs seen by hundreds of people. And then soon after that, farmers started noticing that their cows were dying in droves. Hundreds of cows were just dead. And I'll get back to that a little bit later. But then, there's always UFOs, and then, they just continued on with their lives. Then in 1988, which is 3 years later, that's when the fun story comes in. So basically what happened is there's a little boy that saw a dead body, and then he alerted the village, and the village called the police, and the police came out and checked out the area. What was strange is that usually when the police investigate anything, they tell the locals what's going on and they can like take a look or whatever. But in this case, the police, they just blocked off the area and they wouldn't let anybody come near. And then whenever they did come near, they kind of just pushed them off. And then the locals were just waiting and waiting for more information, and then no information came. So they thought, oh, we'll just go home and watch it on the news like they always do. But there was nothing on the news. And then the next morning, still nothing on the news. There was like a media blackout about the situation. And they just kept waiting and waiting and waiting. Eventually, someone told them that it was just a fisherman that had been missing. And then he was missing for 3 days and he wound up dead on the beach. But why would the police guard make a big fuss about it if it was just that? And it was not that. So then fast forward to 1994. This is when someone from the Brazilian government just couldn't keep the secret anymore. And he released photographs and autopsy report to the media. And then boom, it became like worldwide news. And the things that shocked people the most is that the man that was found in Billings Reservoir, he had 4 perfectly circle 1 to 1.5 inch circles drilled out of his body with like perfect medical precision. And then during his autopsy report, they found that not only were the holes perfectly cylinder and didn't cause like tearing and stuff like that, it vacuumed out all the organs and the blood. So there wasn't a big scene to clean up after the police covered up the story. Uh, but not only that, his eyes were missing, and the lower part of his jaw was like gone, and it was all like medically precision cuts. And then we're going back to the first night of the UFOs in 1986. So when that happened and all the cows were dying, the government wanted to, like, okay, well, the cows are dead, we can't do anything about that, but let's not give out any details. But when this story made the news, a lot of people made the connection with the night of the UFOs, and then it turned out again that a lot of all the cows that died had these perfect circular cuts into their bodies, and their organs had been vacuumed out, and their lower jaws had been removed, and there was the exact same thing except cows. And then a few years later, is one human, and the populace were scared that it was going to happen to more humans than themselves. So this is a real story, but with all UFO, alien, and paranormal activity, even if Congress comes out and says this is real, people forget about it. They push it into the conspiracy theory box and they don't talk about it again, and it becomes ancient history and they forget everything. So that's the first story. For today, I have a lot of pictures that I basically, when I'm doing my research for my map, and before I put like the symbol on the map, I'll want to have some kind of proof for it. So I have these photo albums full of screenshots from my research, and then before I put it on the map, then I'll Google it and find different information about if it's real or not, and then if it is, I'll put it on the map. And so these pictures that I'm going to show you are just that, screenshots that I've found over like several years, and I just pulled out all the UFO ones to introduce in this episode. So first of all, did you know that octopus or octopi are aliens? Yes. So, training science. Do octopuses come from outer space? A scientific paper claims that these wondrously smart undersea animals are actually aliens brought to Earth by meteors. But wait, it gets better from here. How about frozen octopus eggs riding a meteor to Earth 540 million years ago? And here's my picture for this one. But if you like Google it, you'll find a lot of information about this. It's pretty interesting. All right, so then we have the Scarborough in England had a flying saucer incident. So it's basically they had these flying saucers, and then they had copper bottoms, and this is known as the British Roswell. They were found on Silpho Moor near Scarborough, and it was found weeks after the launch of the Sputnik satellite, which some people think is related and some people think it's not related, but who knows. So, well, I don't have a picture of that. It's like a fake picture. So there were 18-inch metallic saucer contained thin copper sheets engraved with unintelligible hieroglyphs, and pieces of these recovered discs are kept at the Science Museum in Scarborough. So you can go there and check it out. But basically what happened is they cut them all up to find out the secrets. And then so there's just a bunch of pieces of metal. Another way to hide the truth, I guess. All right. So then we have Jan Mayen Island. So that is, you can see. So this is Iceland, and I guess it's this one, Jan Mayen Island. Oh no, it's above it. Oh, it's not on my map. Forgot. Oh well. So here is Jan Mayen Island above Iceland, and it was one captained by Rear Admiral Dean Reynolds Sackett Jr., stationed in the Arctic in the March of 1971, is claimed to have encountered and photographed extraordinary USOs. So USOs are underwater, no, sorry, unidentified submarine objects. Yeah, we don't see me. So basically, the UFOs, they fly into the ocean, and usually, the triangles are kind of like portals for them, so they can go down and then come back up in different part of the world, but they can also fly really fast, so it doesn't really matter to them. So that's another one. All right, well, this is not a UFO; it's more like a reptile, but it's still worth mentioning. So, that's too late. I already started. So there is a lizard man statue in Peru. So the reptiles come from the inner earth, and some people think of the reptoids, lizard people, and people of high rank in the world. But the weird thing is that in Peru, there's an actual statue of the lizard man. And here are a few more examples from Google. Ta-da. All right. I'm not going to go too much into that because it's not really a UFO. This one is like an alien, not really a UFO, but it's on the Marquesas Islands, which I cover extensively in my Mu episode, the sunken continent of Mu, also known as Pacifica, Hiva, and the Empire of the Sun. But here you go. Here this is the alien look-alike tiki from the Marquesas Islands, which is right here behind my head. So you see that alien, that's what that represents. So yeah, take a closer look. All right. I've got a lot more pictures in the Mu episode. And then another UFO incident is the Starbuck Island, also in the continent of Mu, which is this anomaly symbol right here. So there's basically a crashed UFO that left a big streak in the landscape behind it, exactly the same as the Baltic Sea anomaly that I mentioned in my previous video. But I don't have a picture of that one. I just have the Starbuck Island one, and it's not a great picture, but you can see the streak marks. So it also came over the land and then ended up there. So yeah, I'll be covering more about that in the upcoming Mu episode. This one is just like an alien cave art drawing that for some reason is present on the Vatican clergyman's uniforms, if you can call them that. So here's the rock art, and then it looks pretty similar to the symbol on his tunic. All right. This one is a 3,000-year-old figurine found in Turkey. It has a UFO drawn on the face shield. And the other one obviously is just a picture of a spaceman, modern day, to give the comparison. All right. This one is really interesting. This is like a Maya rock art design that someone made a 3D model of, and it looks amazing. Here, take a look at that. So this was not only found in the Mayan culture, but in several other cultures, including the Aztec in Mexico, the Maori in New Zealand, the Olmec of Mexico, and the ancient Egyptians, as can be seen in this picture, which is from the internet, but I will show you independent pictures in the near future. The Olmecs are like one of the branching civilizations of the continent of Mu before it sunk beneath the waves after the reset. These are pictures of Japanese UFOs. They're not very big, kind of similar to the Scarborough ones. They're a little bit bigger than like 18 inches, but you can still take a look here. So this is like ancient art, but they're kept the memory alive of the UFOs. If anybody can read Japanese, feel free to write in the comments what it says. And here's the last one here. In the 1800s in Hitachi province. So there's Japan. All right, this one you probably won't know what you're looking at. I'll show you before I start talking. So here you go. Any guesses on that? So this is Lake Mead, where Victor 1 is parked. It is a cloaked UFO, but I'll be making a full episode on that in the near future, so I'm not going to give away too much information right now. So this one you've heard me mention a few times is Rendlesham Forest. Rendlesham Forest is oops, sorry, that was noisy. Is Britain's Roswell again. So there are sightings of lights in the sky in Suffolk, England in December 1980 near the Royal Air Force Woodbridge, which was used by the United States Air Force and is best known for the UFO events, is the most well known in all of the UK for UFO events. And it's called Little Roswell, which, you know, everybody knows Roswell in New Mexico here, Area 51. All right, so then these are pictures of orbs of light at Nan Madal, which I talked about the Nan Madal in the previous video, but this is like more modern with the all the old ancient sites have a lot of like UFO activity. Same like the Dome of the Rock. There's a very famous video where the ball of light just comes right above the dome and then stays there for a minute and then flies off. I'll be making a future video about UFOs and including that kind of video in there. And then, so there's Nan Madal. This one, Puerto Rico. So Puerto Rico has this, I'll show you this one first. It's like I don't know what that picture would be from. Anyway, maybe a satellite. I'm not quite sure. But basically, the UFO shot 340 miles in half a second, which means 680 miles per second. Here's a picture of the example here. That was recorded by the U.S. military. And then I'll just read this a little bit to you. Former U.S. President Barack Obama confirmed that footage and records of unidentified objects exist. He told CBC last week, "What is true, and I'm actually being serious here, is that there's footage and records of objects in the skies that we don't know exactly what they are. We can't explain how they moved, their trajectory. They did not have an easily explainable pattern, and so I think that people still take seriously trying to investigate and figure what it is." Also on CBS 60 Minutes program, a former Navy pilot said he had seen unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs, they changed the word to confuse us, every day for the last couple of years. In March, John Ratcliffe, Donald Trump's former intelligence director, said the disclosure would reveal that there have been a lot more sightings of UFOs that have been made public. So here's the very famous photo here. All right. And then another UFO seen off the coast of San Diego. And, oh, this is the Santiago one. Anyway, this is, yeah. This was seen off the coast of Santiago in Chile. And it's a captured video of a U.A.P, which is an unidentified anomalous phenomena. And basically, it's the same thing as a UFO, but they changed the word so that, I don't know, it's confusing for everybody and it's hard to say, I guess. All right. Well, this is the very famous photo from Stephen Michalak's sketch of the UFO of the Falcon Lake incident, which I have shown you photos of already in that video from last week. Yeah, if you haven't seen it already, go make sure to check it out. This is a Vimana, which is basically the Indian flying machine found by soldiers in a cave. And of course, the government needs to cover that up. But this is an ancient secret that is not really a secret. And you will see some Vimanas in the Sri Lanka episode that is coming up in the near future. This is an ancient disc found in Nepal with aliens and the sun and maybe octopuses because they're aliens too. Anyway, this is from Nepal and it's apparently 12,000 years old. All right. So now I have more pictures, but I don't have such like detailed stories about them. So here is just an example of like ancient astronauts in the background, and then and down here is like the astronauts all holding the same box. So what does that mean? I'm not sure. This picture was it's not conclusive if it's real or not. It could be a recent carving. I have no idea, but apparently it was found in a cave in South America. And I have a lot more pictures, but this one's the best. All right, here is an unidentified flying object just above the surface of the ocean. So it's probably USO, same like this one here. And this one here. This is a seemingly crashed UFO in Antarctica. It's a very famous picture. If you know anything about conspiracies in Antarctica, I'm sure you've seen this before. As well as this one, which is like, looks like a crashed UFO with a bunch of tanks in front of it, but it looks like it's been there a while because of the snow patterns. I've mentioned it before for here, Table Mountain. There's a portal and a UFO because it's one of the largest alien bases on Earth, similar to Mount Shasta, which I will get to very soon. There's also a lot of like UFOs in ancient art. So here's one from India. And here's one with Jesus. And here's one seemingly from Europe. And it's not just the one, there's like all these other ones in the background too. All right, so I didn't do the research on this one, the Great Pittsburgh Fire. Anyway, think what you will. These it's like a zoom in close up screenshot of an ancient map with mermaids using UFOs as mirrors to see themselves in the reflection. So it would have been like really, really tiny on the map, but interesting that it's there at all. This is some ancient Aboriginal Australian rock art. So I'll show you this one first because they're known as the sky beings. So you can see the alien faces there. So that's one of them. And then here's another one depicting the UFO and a bunch of other stuff. Maybe it's flying in the sky. I don't know. Maybe shadow people. I don't know. But rock art from Western Australia. And then there's one more. This one is thought to be 20 to 26,500 years ago in Western Australia. And this is more rock art, but this one is from Algeria from 9,000 years ago. And then here's just another random UFO, the triangular kind. I have that one in my introduction for my quick, fast song. Here's another one with no information. And then there's another one with no information. Here is probably not real. There's way too many rivets. I'm sure it's made by humans, but think what you will. Maybe it's a flugelrad, like the ones in Admiral Byrd's story. Here is a supposedly NASA jet because they supposedly have the Space Force that can carry 300 astronauts into space at any time they want. And I think they have more than one now, but that's a completely different conspiracy that I don't plan on talking about because it's space stuff. But since we're on UFOs, I'll just mention it quickly. Here's a unidentified alien statue from who knows where. This is Mount Shasta. It is an energy vortex, and UFOs fly in and out of the mountain all the time. So, pretty similar to Table Mountain headquarters base. And this is the one that Barack Obama was talking about earlier. So basically, they're going against the wind, and the wind is 120 knots. So they couldn't understand what was going on. Here's another depiction of some ancient art with aliens in a spaceship. And then this one, I don't know what it is either, but I don't think it's English. But I see H2O in there, so it's probably being by humans. I don't know. Who knows? All right. And then there's the Atlantic Undersea Test and Evaluation Area, which is called AUTEC for short. It's just off the coast of the Bahamas. And here is a little map of the area. So you can see this little map in the bottom here. There's Florida, the Bahamas, and AUTEC is just like right there. So that's like, this is one of the plausible locations for Atlantis, and there's apparently like an underwater crystal pyramid, and it's the Bermuda Triangle, so there's like a lot of like weird stuff going on, and apparently it's a portal for aliens going in and out of our world. According to Wikipedia here, so I have the picture. I'll just show you Wikipedia. I'll just show you this picture of the map and then read it, what it says. Whatever here. Stay there. Okay. The United States Navy's Atlantic Undersea Test and Evaluation Center, AUTEC, is a laboratory that performs integrated three-dimensional aerospace trajectory measurements covering the entire spectrum of undersea simulated warfare, calibrations, classifications, detection, and destruction. Its mission is to assist in establishing and maintaining naval ability of the United States through testing, evaluation, and underwater research. What some people might not know is that, like, a few years ago, there was some missile bomb tests underwater in that vicinity, and I definitely know that happened. But when I tried looking for the information, so I could tell you today, but I couldn't find it. So maybe it's just my memory, or maybe it's been scrubbed from the internet. All right, so see that there's a few comments, but there's not any questions. So unless there's any questions, I've gone through all the material that I prepared for today. 28 minutes is not so bad, and I'm happy how it went. So if you have any questions, you can ask me on the White Rabbit 4090 Facebook page. And that's where I leave all my updates for when I'm posting the next video, which is always 10 p.m. on Sunday in Taiwan, or 9 a.m. in Canada, in Ottawa, depending on the time zone, the daylight savings. So yeah, you can set your clock to that. I'll always be there. It's either going to be a live or it's going to be my episode. And the next episode that's coming out is the Admiral E. Byrd video that I mentioned a little bit earlier not today, but the last video before that. And I'm really excited about that. It's going to be one of my best videos. I filmed it differently than I normally do. Instead of having a script, I just told the story from memory and introduced Admiral E. Byrd, his flight to the North Pole and South Pole, and then how he fought with the Nazis 6 months after the end of World War II in Operation High Jump. And then I read his secret journal that he wrote because he was sworn to secrecy about the contents of the story. And then the story was published by his son after his death. And then his son ended up in mysterious circumstances. Basically, he got disappeared. Anyway, ask me questions about it and I'll let you know. So I guess that's all for now. Uncovering the truth, one conspiracy at a time. See you next week on the White Rabbit YouTube channel.